Hello, guys. Welcome to another episode of Late Night with Inbaraj. This is not a real talk show. You guys know that, but this is about real people and real stories. And you guys, I'm sure you know that I've been part of the Malaysian startup ecosystem, and I've been working with a lot of entrepreneurship programs over the last 10 years. And I believe I've done my best, contributed here and there, but there are so many more other community builders, right? Community builders, community leaders, whatever you want to call them, ecosystem builders who are doing amazing things with their own communities and other communities in general, and they have a lot of interesting stories to share. So today I've decided to talk about the ecosystem itself. So the topic will be ecosystem building during the COVID-19, sorry, ecosystem building in the COVID-19 world, because somehow COVID-19 is here to stay. It's not going to go away so soon. Some are saying we'll probably have to live with this for the next 2 years because the vaccine is not coming anytime soon, right? So life will be very different from now on, and ecosystem building will also change a lot. So to discuss this topic further, I have three very interesting guests. We have Kariku from Penang, and we have Feng Lim from JB, and Malcolm all the way from Sarawak. I'm gonna add the guys in right now. All right, all the
Yo,
four heroes
what's
are here.
up?
What's up,
What's
everyone?
up,
Hello.
guys?
Hi
How you guys doing?
guys. We
Is
are
this a
live.
gathering?
Yes,
Yes,
yes.
it is.
Yeah, meet up. It's like get together, meet up kind of stuff.
All right, so how you guys
Hi
doing?
guys.
How's it been today?
Good, good. Yeah,
Good.
okay. Usual, right?
Preparing an event for
Okay,
tomorrow.
so I'm sure you guys are all celebrities, but there might be some new audience here today that don't know who you are. So we'll start with introductions. So just a quick introduction about who you are and what's your background, and what you guys been doing in the startup ecosystem in Malaysia, right? So let's start with Kari.
Right.
We start from North
Hi.
first.
Not first. Okay. I'm currently cool. I'm from Penang. So basically, say I used to be called as like a community builder. So I started with community building, started this whole startup ecosystems in Penang. And then after that, I joined Magic. When Cheryl Yos was the CEO at the earliest days. Yeah, after that, I back to Penang to help with the states, and we set up ACAT. After that, we pass it to someone else, pass it back to the states. Then after that, I was helping Kazana to run an incubations program. I think right after that, I'm kind of like lay down a bit, but I was still a bit active in the scene, but not only in Malaysia, but in around Southeast Asia. So I was Singapore a bit, Thailand's one of my favorite place, Korea's, Vietnam's around kind of things. So that's basically me. I also kind of like advising early stage startups from KL's kind of things and run couples of digital products kind of thing. So that's basically me. Oh yeah, I got 3 kids. I'm
Good,
that
good.
old.
Okay, Feng, your turn.
Right, hi everyone. My name is Feng. I started off building the community in JB. I was an accountant before actually. Came back to Malaysia. It was also during the magic time. Got inspired a lot. Always go to KL. Wanted to learn about how to do a startup and got very interested, but ended up fed up traveling too much and decided, hey, why not bring all these things back to JB and 6 years down the road, and now we actually people call us a community builder. And yeah, all what I do is really basically helping our startups to grow faster. So we used to run a co-working space that we recently handed it back to the property owner itself in JD. So moving forward, I think it's something that we're going to talk about it. What as a community builder, what we're going to do later. So yeah, that's me.
Right, and Malcolm.
Hi, everyone. So my name is Malcolm, and I'm all the way from Kuching, East Malaysia. Actually, my background is hospitality management. So I was study and work in KL for almost 10 years. And in 2012, I moved back home to Kuching and continue with some hospitality work do a bit of different other kind of jobs. And in 2015, that's where I really it's my first touch into the industry of co-working space or the whole startup ecosystem and entrepreneurship. That's when I got involved in 2015. So during that time, we are actually the first co-working space in the whole of Sarawak. So iCube Innovation. Since then until today, we are still the first and still the largest private initiated co-working space in Sarawak. So since 2015, with someone with a hospitality background that don't know anything about startup ecosystem or entrepreneurship, that's where I got connected to a few people. The names were actually being mentioned. Kari is that one of them. Feng is one of them. Of course, there's a few more like Daniel Cervantes and a few more names. And that's also the time that Magic was heavily promoting and heavily doing a lot of events outside of Cyberjaya as well. So during that time, iCube was also collaborated with Magic as one of the first satellite partner outside of Cyberjaya that is in Sarawak, that we will be the venue for them to host any of their events. During that time, I think there's a lot of SE events, social enterprise events, headed by Ihon. And we work very closely with them. And until today, we still work very closely with all the federal government and state government as well. So we are already on the 5th year, and earlier on we did a few projects for the state government, which is the Sarawak state government, and also now Sarawak Multimedia Authority. So what we do with them is we actually design and build 3 of the innovation hubs within Sarawak. So one in Miri, Bintulu, and Kuching, and the other one in Sarike. Of course, there are more micro hubs coming up by SMA as well. And out of these 4 hubs, Sarike Innovation Center was the pilot project. So we actually got the contract to manage, and we do programs every month. So that's what we have been doing. And also, I've been involved with community building since day one. Learn a lot from Feng and Kari as well, and also the getting very active involved in Startup Weekend actually. So we recently just finished the first online Startup Weekend that was a global initiative by Techstars for COVID-19, which is the month of April. So I was part of the Malaysia organizing team actually. Yeah. So that's pretty much about me.
Right, interesting. Okay, guys. So before we go into the topic, what have you guys been doing during the MCO? Are you all still actively in the building community scene, or are you taking a break? What do you guys just share a bit of what you guys been doing?
First 2
I think
weeks.
started with you guys first.
Okay, Kari. Somebody start first.
Hey,
Rotate.
Okay. So personally, the first 2 weeks I was a little bit like rotting, like because everything is still very we are still figuring out what to do, what should we do, and what's coming in and stuff like that. So I think the first 2 weeks, personally, I'm a little bit like on and off. But the momentum starts to kick in is when I start involved in the startup weekend for the Malaysia organizing team. Yeah. So I think that's where the ball starts to roll, and I think that's where we get connected with other community builders and people that we are familiar with. So that's where I think that's where the vibes come in, and we start to see more things that we can actually organize online actually.
How about you, Feng?
I would say it's kind of like a pretty good time for me to kind of like really reflect. As a community builder, a lot of things back then was offline, running co-working space, events, program, and we just did a conference earlier of the year, probably the only conference this year actually.
Yes.
We're quite lucky, we did it like right before the lockdown happened, and we didn't really expect that, but we had to really kind of like adapt to this new norm that now we're saying. We actually did a lot of experiments during MCO, but so I would say it's kind of like a good time to really reflect on what I've been doing over the last 6 years. A lot of things that I I promised myself that I wanted to do, but then, that I always thought I'm busy doing this and that. There are so many things going on and you do not have time. But actually, it's a pretty good time that I also sit down and reflect what the hell I've been doing for the last 6 years, and if things are going to change moving forward, what we're really going to do, and what exactly is the value that we're bringing on top of the table. So I think those are some of the things that we did. We actually run a virtual conference at the moment MCO is announced extended for the first time. It took us about 12 days to kind of implement it. We did a lot of testing and experiment. We were initially testing online masterclass and workshops, and then we did a virtual conference, probably one of the earlier ones, together with like Exabyte. We were doing like virtual conference around. Response was actually pretty good. And then the next phase of the MCO was really like next experiments that we're doing or working together very, very closely with a very selected few startups, helping them to grow. And we actually had very, very good results from there. I think that's something that we're going to double down on moving forward as well.
Cool.
Kari, okay.
So in general, I think a lot of people start to like notice that actually I've been doing a lot of activities in KL since last year's, together with a guy called Jack Lim, a guy from Gartners, and also with an association called KL Societies. And most of the events are very focused at Bukit Bintang. So that's basically what happens on last year. And end of the years, I think some guys might notice that I actually was active with startups. So with two startups, one's called Tour Plus. Early stage startups went to SOSV, right? Founded by Rickson's. Then second startup is called Fatberry, which was funded by Fatfish, led by a guy called Johns, was backed by Quinoa kind of things. So then, February's COVID happens. So I got to back. That time I actually spent a lot of time in KL. I think those guys in KL basically met up with me, kind of things. I spent most time in KL, bumped to a lot of friends, kind of things. A lot of people ask why I spend most of the time in KL. Penang night, I used to be active in Penang. The lockdowns, back to Penang most of the time, kind of things. And Penang suddenly become an opposition. Now we change government kind of things, and Penang's become very much different. And during the MCO is where so-called the community buildings back kind of things for myself, basically for my role. So because I've back here, I found I later found out there's not much activities happening in Penang. Not much activities going on. The communities is a bit like scattered around kind of things. State having a bit challenges also kind of things. Talk to them here and there kind of stuff. Couple of them. So talk to a few people. So we felt that right now is the best time, right? And it's the most needed for community buildings kind of stuff. So basically, it's to bring the community's experience on the tech startups back to the general community. So right now, so we're talking not only on tech startups. So I'm talking to SMEs, I'm talking to hawker store, I'm talking to the Grab drivers that did not make any income. The so-called the fellows involved with travel tax. Basically, we are fucked up kind of things, and also other players kind of thing. Yeah, and in right now, I think Sabah and Kapoor State, even including Johor, I think our so-called our leaders is a bit different. We say that we don't want to follow what's the rules given by the federals, and right now the federals say well, want to sue us, but I think that's the thing that a lot of people are not taking this COVID-19 serious enough, right? I believe I think a couple of friends, our friends that we know passed away on the second weeks, right? I have two friends from KL passed away from second weeks. One of the guys are from Creative, one of the guy from DG. Then I have a lot of friends in Europe and US. The place are very heavily impacted, right? I got so-called relative in Spain because my brother-in-law he's a Spanish, so it's very close at heart when we come to see what's going on in that country situations right now. It's very, very serious. We are lucky in Malaysia that I think, like it or not, the new governments take very fast actions, right? Not everything is perfect, but I think they did a very good job. Hence, I think we feel very comfortable. But if you look at state and a couple of countries, it's very serious matter. I think hence I felt that right now I think it's very important. I talked to a lot of SMEs. I think they faced a lot of challenges. So I felt now really I think it's best time and it's very important for community builders. It's very, very important. Okay, so this is
Right.
what I felt.
Yeah. Okay, so now, I mean, I don't really want to discuss what we're doing during the MCO too much because, I mean, it's kind of pointless because I think there's so much restrictions and everybody's trying to figure out this whole part, right? But I believe community building does not stop. I mean, we can't stop. You guys can't stop. We can't let the economy crash. Somehow we have to
Yes.
do our part. I mean, the
Mm.
government may be, they may be taking care of the big guys,
Yeah.
but there are a lot of small businesses, startups, and all SMEs around us
Mm.
who need a lot of assistance and support as well. So, what are you guys planning for the next 6 months, let's say? I mean, how are you looking to navigate this COVID world? I mean, we're going to live with COVID for a while. We can't
Yeah.
avoid it, and we can't be locked up in the house for the next 6 months anyway.
Mm.
So, there must be some kind of a action plan to move
Mm.
forward and still keep on doing what we are doing. So, what are you guys have been planning on, or what do you have in mind? Anything you can
Malcolm,
share?
like I think let's move the same route, right? Sabah, Johor,
Sarawak,
KL, then
Sarawak,
Penang,
not
right?
Sabah, not
Hey,
Sabah,
Inbaraj,
Sarawak,
you can
Sarawak.
say something also, right? Right?
Yeah, start with
Yeah.
Malcolm. Yeah, you guys start first. I will share
Sarawak
later.
first. Start with Sarawak first, right?
So I can't speak on behalf of everyone, but I think what we are doing now, I mean, we are still figuring out a lot of things because we are now moving to the new norm whereby everything's going to be online. So how are we going to build community online and how are we going to really like connect with people? And also, I think the most important thing is like how are we able to share and to give um, value content to the audience because now everything online is pretty much you can have access to a lot of different country, not just our city or state, but you can basically have a bigger outreach. And at the same time, I think because the economy is still not very stable, so we are still not able to define or to determine, okay, if we're going to do this content, how much are we charging and how much people can actually afford to pay? Because especially corporate companies and SMEs, they are going through a time that they are also still figuring out whether what is their plan, right? Because now it's still on MCO. Until the MCO is lifted, I think giving another 1 or 2 months, maybe I think corporate side or SME side will have a little bit clearer direction, and I think that's where we can really look into what kind of content or program that we can actually support or to provide. Because now we can create a lot of content, which is free content, but in terms of sustainability, that's not going to be the way until end of the year, right? So actually, it's a very good job that what Feng did from Start Malaysia. They have done the online conference, which is testing out the market and see how many people actually are willing to go online to experience what it's called as an online or virtual conference, right? So I think that's a learning process for every one of us. So yeah, I think for the next 1 or 2 months, we can only look into what came. Of course, now we are looking into certain areas, but it's still not very structured because we need to look into who are able to pay for those content, right, in order to be sustainable. So I think for Sarawak, at the moment of time, we are still waiting for some information or news from the state government whether to uplift, which means that everyone sort of go back to normal after the 12th of May. But I think the ministry, the state government is still looking into a gradual, like a CMCO. I forgot what the C stands for. That
Conditional.
conditional MCO. So I think every state every state government is doing their role to basically to make sure that their people is safe, and also at the same time the economy needs to grow. So with during I think during this time we can also see a lot of private sectors or local business owners jumping into a lot of online platform. So which is a good thing, but on the other hand, nothing is stable yet. So I think for now, give us another 1 or 2 months so that we can really look into what areas we can contribute to provide to the local community. So this is this on my personal note lah. Yeah.
Right. And how about in JB? What's going on in JB?
Well, I think I would say things were really changing a lot post MCO. I mean, in the new norm, especially also within the new government, we were actually in a way quite affected. There was kind of like lockdown projects that we were planning to do with the state government, and now we had a new state government. So a lot of this relationship had to rebuild, and we all know how long is the process and stuff. When being a community builder, a lot of time, from. So one thing I had a lot of reflect over the last couple months is that as a community builder, our business model, or in a way, how we keep ourselves sustainable has been there are a couple of ways, right? You either monetize from the community itself, or you actually monetize from the corporates and the government side. And we were choosing that government and this corporate side, where we really heavily only monetize from them, and we do not actually really kind of like monetize from the community at all. So but being in this kind of like pandemic situation for us, plus a change of government, basically essentially changed almost everything. So that's why I was saying earlier, we had to actually do a lot of testing. We had to do a lot of different experiments to basically throw away everything that we know, everything that we have been doing back then, into something new. We had to adapt itself, because back then all of us have why we're saying KL with Penang, we have East Malaysia and JB, but because there are people who do not have means to be able to always travel around to learn from people, and we were kind of like the person that's trying to bring all this content together and put it to the local market and starts to kind of like help people around. But if you look at it now, we can all come in and we can learn something from Inbaraj's show. We can all go to Daniel's show in the morning. We can join a program from Thailand or in Indonesia or in the US. The thing is, I think even for community building itself, or especially I'm let's say referring to the tech startups industry, things will also change, right? Back then you can organize trainings down here, but now people do not have to come to your trainings. There is a lot more people. Like if we are doing a live stream and we have Steve Blank doing a live stream at this exact same time about the exact same topic, probably more people will be leaning to listening to his instead of us, I think. So in a way, as a community builder, as an ecosystem builder, then we had to really look at what we had to offer, that we can actually provide, that still makes sense, that people will be willing to consume, and at the same time making ourselves very sustainable, because we're not talking about like just being alone, and most of us have a team that we have to take care of, and making sure that everybody is being fed. So I think those are things that how we are looking at moving forward. Definitely, I would say momentum will be going down. You won't see a lot of offline events, trainings, but the thing is, if you look at our Facebook page, I think I minimum have at least like 10 of my friends are doing live, and we have really good contents around, almost every single day. So if you look at that whole density of it, it's actually a lot more. So that's how we are seeing this community building. Then the question that we actually ask ourselves is, my partner Lawrence actually raised this question. So he said, a couple days back, his girlfriend actually raised a question and said, you have been. She just reminded him, oh, you've been back to Malaysia and doing all these things for 3 years, and I've been doing for 6 years. So then the question to ask is also, what did we actually really bring to the table for the community? And if today we were to take out this community builder or role in me, who am I actually? What can I do? What is that? What is the value that I bring to the table? So these are some of these questions we've been asking us very, very hard. So that kind of like determines what we were doing. So that's why we tried to do the online training. We tried to do the virtual conference, and we reached out to a lot more startups. One thing that we realized that we have been doing and we know how to do pretty well is to be able to kind of like drive growth for startups at a certain stage. But but we never really tried to do that before. We actually had this idea, or we have been already pondering about this idea right after base conference earlier, and we actually started to execute one or two. Then we bring in two more projects. So then when we continue to do this whole thing, we start also testing our framework. If our framework is really working, if we can really bring in results, and if this is the thing that people will be paying us to continue to do this moving forward, and if we were to double down to do this moving forward, maybe I have to switch my whole team. Instead of having a team that actually specialize in running programs and building community, I need to be able to switch a team that become groups of experts who can really help startups grow. So I think those are the things that will determine what's moving forward, and that's pretty much like how we are planning to do it. So a lot online is for sure, but how to deliver that value, I think, is that one most important thing, and we have to do it really from the end of the bottom of the funnel, to do it from there, survive first, and be able to kind of like keep everyone in the payroll. Then moving forward, look at how we will grow. We all thought that we had fantastic growth from 2018 2019, and we're projecting a huge growth on 2020. But this whole situation kind of like just turned everything around. So for us, it's now turning into kind of like a survival mode as well.
I think to add on to Feng, to Feng and Curry, I think earlier on we constantly have this kind of conversation, especially the word or the term community builder, right? So the community builder tag, it's actually a label that basically I think it has in the past, I think it has already been a kind of not to say stereotype, but there's already a kind of identity that community building, it's definitely going to be pro bono or free, right? So when we are organizing any form of content, right? Of course, we community builders are always the frontliners to basically to give, we always say give first and everything. We help. We are passionate to help, want to see growth, want to see impact. But I think especially during this period of time, what Feng has been reflecting over the MCO period, and recently because of the startup weekend, and after startup weekend, we also talked to a few more mentors, which is also up till today they are still giving as well. So I think we are also in a conversation of like how to really sustain ourselves, basically, because like Kari runs a company as well, Feng runs a company. I actually work for a co-working space, which literally we are all getting paid as well. So in order to look into getting revenue, not profit, but revenue, like a source of income, I think whatever we do in the next few months onwards, online content and everything, I think we need to really look into the word sustainability, like how are we able to charge, and I think it's also for the community to also understand that we are not basically sort of like funded by any organization. We are private sectors, so at the same time we need to also get paid for our salary. Beyond, so that's why I think as a community builder, we have been always giving a lot of our values to the community, because we really want to help them as long as they grow, we don't mind to go the extra mile. I think this is what all of us have been through. But the past 1 week plus or 2 weeks, I've been also thinking about, like, the hardest part is how you're going to charge some of the online content that you are going to um, run it online, right? So I think this is a question for all of us to really think about it. Like, how are we going to charge? And I don't think we can always keep on looking at government and corporate, because now corporate sectors are badly affected as well. SMEs are also badly affected.
Very
Government side, a lot of things are also on hold because of they need to focus a lot more on the bigger areas to take care because of the MCO, and a lot more help that they need to give out as well. So at this period of time is we need to look into whether the community are able to support back us. I think that will be a question to all of us to think about and to re-look into it, right? I mean, we are not also taking this time to, like, you know, when people say when there's a fire you go and you go and rob someone, right? But this is a situation that all of us are trying to survive too, right? Especially in our industry, we also need to survive and to really grow, and especially now everything's online. I think we can bring more values and more content virtually to anyone that is actually in our city or in our country as well. So yeah, that's just something to add on there, Curry.
Right. And Kari,
So,
how about your side? Yeah.
so on my side, my impact was quite harsh and quite fast. Because I was involved in travel tax. So during February, when the COVID was spread in lockdowns for China, so it was heavily impact on us. So we see the result right immediately, kind of immediately. That's the first things, right? Now, second thing is when there's a change of government, suddenly Penang become an oppositions, and the lockdown changed the whole thing. Now, in general, to let you guys know, right, that Penangs are made of islands and the mainland, right? We have both. And in general, our so-called our Penang's economy focus on two things. One is the manufacturing, which contribute about 70%. Then 30% are relying on the SMEs and also on the tourism part, right? Georgetown's heritage kind of things. So in first things that tourism is not happening, travel is not happening, right? That is the first things that been like heavily impacted. So the 30% kind of gone. Then secondly is the manufacturing. Penang are made of, in general, majority are made of MNC, multinationals company. Means that these companies are from US and Europe. And we all know right now, since March, US and Europe are very, very heavily impacted. Means they are trying to call back and get support from their countries' companies, right, to support them. And manufacturing, and we all know, right, manufacturing means stops, right? They cannot do this, they cannot run, kind of stuff. So in general, Penangs are very heavily impacted. And when I'm back in Penang, like you know, was because of these lockdowns, then I see what's going on the situation. So this will go back to why I started community building, right? When I start doing this thing, it's not because I like community building. I start doing this thing because I try to solve my own problems. I was doing startup, and there's no community in Penang. I got to travel. I hate travel, and what I'm trying to do is very simple. I try to solve my own problem. So I start doing this community building, right? Hopefully to solve my problem. So same thing. This is what I'm saying. I'm back into Penang. So I stay in the mainland, and I have a lot of challenges getting food, getting support, all that kind of stuff, because I stay in mainland, not in Georgetown, not in the main cities. And with what's going on, looking in the scene and the scenario, right, I felt that I need to do something, right? I'm not noble. I'm trying to do things to help me, because I look it as the supply chain. If, put it very simple, if the same SME breakdown means you bring back to the vendor and suppliers, right? You bring back to the working level peoples, and you went up to the corporates, to the company itself. So if the whole the whole economy break down, then how I'm going to make a living, right? I mean, it's a very simple fact, right? economy 101, right? There's no economy. That's very hard to make a living. That's hard to make a business. So what I'm trying to do right now is very simple. Like I'm trying to help myself. I'm very open. I'm very honest. I'm not being noble. Right? Means like if I help my community to build, right? If the whole like ecosystem back, not to the normal, but at least it's like back on track. Basically, it's indirectly it helped me, right? Kind of stuff. So this is what I'm trying to do, and this is what I felt. Hyper localizations, that is very important. The lockdowns, right, bring us a new, I'm not saying new meaning. It accelerates few things. It accelerates the hyper localizations, the community, and the digital transformations, right? It
Education
accelerated
as well.
educations, right?
Yeah.
And help, right? It accelerated these couples of so-called areas, and which make people like us, like four of us, because we are so-called, right? Community builders. We understand, we run events, hosting, all that kind of stuff, and we are into tech, right? So it kind of like give us a advantage. Now it's next is like how we bring this back to our communities and support each others. So this is how I kind of like
Yeah.
starting doing all this kind of activities
Yeah, I mean,
locally.
even in one of these earlier discussion, we had another chat
Mm,
with another group,
mm,
right? I
mm.
was talking about this as well. How that we can't always depend on the government. They got a lot of things to think about.
Yes.
But as communities, entrepreneurs can come together and always support
Mm,
each other and solve our problems.
mm,
I mean, as entrepreneurs, that's what we do every day, right? Solve
mm,
problems. That's part and parcel of our life, our
mm.
lifestyle, our business. And as community builders, we do the same thing as well. So I
Right.
think, like you said, hyper localization, that's, I think,
Mm,
brilliant, right? Each
mm.
community take care of itself. So at least in a smaller pocket, if we all can support each other and take care of ourselves, we can survive this. We
Yeah.
might not flourish. Some of
Yeah.
us might, no, most of us probably just have to survive, but that's good. If all of
Yeah.
us can survive, then we can always compete later. That's what I've been telling
Mm,
people, right? I mean,
yeah.
this is probably not the time for us to compete with each other and kill each other. This is probably the time where we all come together and survive. And then 6 months down the road or 1 year down the road, we'll start competing again. I mean, for
Mm,
businesses, right? Not community
yes.
builders. For
Yes.
community builders, I've never felt any competition. I mean, there's nothing to
Nothing to
compete.
compete about, right?
Exactly.
I
So,
think
yeah. So, but on,
community building is all about collaboration. I think like we
exactly.
are collaboration is always the key word to all of us. Like we collaborate, we help each other, we work something
Yeah.
out. As long as we want to make something happen. That's it.
Mm,
Yeah.
Yeah, and so Roslan has this comment about how we should probably plan a major state online conference and then do a national level part. So I wanted to just point this out because that was the point that I want to talk about as well. Uh,
mm,
Roslan I mean, I'm thinking the idea, we all have this idea, right? We want to do so many
mm,
programs.
mm.
But I think it comes back to the point where you guys were talking about earlier, sponsors, our partners, everybody's locked, right? We can't just simply throw in although online events are free per se, but it's not exactly free. I mean,
Yeah.
every time I do a program, I have to spend a lot of money on marketing, Facebook
Not just
marketing itself.
money. It's also time, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So even if I'm willing to do it for free, even if my entire team is willing to work for free without a salary, I still need to pay Facebook for advertising. I still need to,
Yes.
come up with collaterals. I may need
Mm,
to prepare some goodie bags and send it by post laju, even if you're not attending an event.
Yeah.
Branding and all is important. So there's cost to it. We can't simply just keep doing free events. And for me, it's a bit different because I'm 50-50. I mean, I'm not a full time professional community builder. I mean,
mm,
I've always had my main business is a creative agency, and that's how I make my money. So I've always done a lot of community building work pro bono because I don't need to make money out of it. But when I do programs like my hackathons and all that I don't do for free because I'm doing it for corporate client, right, or government agency client. So they want me to run a hackathon for them. I will charge them for it. If you want me to run a conference for you, I charge you for it. But if I do it as my open coffee club community, then I
mm,
don't charge anyone because that's my community that I built over 10 years, and it's all about bringing people together and creating opportunities, right? Same like my Cyberjail Startup Summit.
mm,
That's purely whatever sponsorship money we collect, we spend on the event
mm,
because it's about just bringing people together, putting them under one roof, and see what they can do. So those kind of initiatives we can continue to do, but there's always cost to a lot of things, which is also one of the points that I think I wanted to ask, but you guys have already kind of talked about it. Uh, how much money is there? I mean, is there still money for community builders like us to organize large scale events or national scale events, whether it's online or kind of offline with other, I mean, you can still do offline events now with the distancing and all that, right? There are a lot of, because we're not talking about now, let's say 6 months down the road. there might be physical events again, but with some kind of restrictions. So do you guys think maybe for 2020, there's still time left? We
Yeah.
are 4 months done, so there's another 8 months left.
Mm.
So do you think there'll be still physical events that you might be doing, or is there anything that you're talking to any of your partners? Is there still money? Are people still willing to sponsor events? Anything you guys like to share?
Curry.
Curry. Okay. So
Yeah.
some of you guys might heard about it, is that Penang supposedly to run this huge event called WCIT and Tech Fest, right? Led by these wonderful ladies called Ngayen, right? But now I think she faced a lot of challenges, right? In general, how I look at it, how I see it, right? In the next not 6 months, in the next 9 months, there won't be any big offline conference. I think things need to bring to online, and we need to find a way how to make the experience count. I think that's very important, right? So there's still going to be things like so-called cost running kind of things, right? You can't run away. Costs are still going to be there, right? It's just like the cost is minimal. But again, look at it. The experience is going to be different, right? When we are offline, face-to-face, we have better experience compared to online. So there's might be like additional costs need to get involved, like to make the experience worth it. So this is what I felt. And because things are new, it happens suddenly. I think a lot of people are finding ways like how to make it happen, right? How to make it different. That's why a lot of testings are happening right now. So I attended like couples of like online conference, online events, meetup, right? The last one was startup weekends. Malaysia was like amazing. So like, people coming out. We even try out the after party. Then after that, you see, one thing's lead to another, right? You start to build up this like APEC community. Then Jeffrey Links come to like do this like every Fridays, like kind of like online,
virtual happy hour.
virtual happy hours kind of things. So
Yeah.
we start to bring these things slowly, kind of stuff. So like what like Roslan says, like in the comments, it's like hyper Malaysias, right? By hyper localizations. I think Roslan is one of the early fellas that I met when I come into doing this so-called community building things, right? Roslan was from MDEC kind of things. So and he contribute a lot in the ecosystem kind of stuff, right? And I believe not only him, I think a lot of people always mentions like hyper localizations, right? Like what is the value, right? If we come in together, things are different. And this is what I felt. COVID-19 and MCO is going to bring the whole community together. This is what I felt. This is how I look at it, right? I might not be optimistic when it comes to like, the situation is going to go back normal to 6 months. No, I'm a bit negative on that. How I look at it, the whole thing going to last up to a year plus. This is how I look at it, right? Like it's going to be, no, this is how I look at it. It's going to be very terrible because I'm looking at data, right? Data will not lie. Look at the numbers of US and Europe. Very simple. That's all, period, right? So we need to embrace this. And this is what I felt. It's going to bring the hyper localizations. It's going to bring people coming together a lot more closer, right? We going to start to be very innovation. I start to see a lot of like local companies, not startup, local companies, right? Hyper localize and be very innovative and creative because they have to. If they don't do it, they're going to die. Uh, no, this part I'm kind of like happy with it because we start to see a lot of crazy idea. They got to do it, right? I'm not every day, but I receive a lot of message, friends call kind of stuff like trying out crazy ideas. And this is what I love it, all right. And every each of that, you guys will be surprised. I think everyone know. I think everyone's have this thing that every each of this idea, they will have addition on it. And this is the part that I love it so much, right? Previously, they will say doing like very traditional, nothing digital related. Now, every idea, every opinions, every suggestions, there's going to be a technology that's going to be digital about it, right? And the hyper localization part, right? I tell you, that's the thing because of the lockdown. Every cities right now we still cannot travel interstate, and they got to look into how I'm going to do it in my cities,
And I
right?
think I
How I'm
think
going to make it
to
happen.
I think to that, Kari, I think
Yeah.
this is also a good time for because we had a conversation with Feng as well the other day on another pre-startup weekend webinar as well, talk about validation, right? So this is also a time that everyone can actually just test out, any ideas that you have. Not necessarily to be a startup, but any traditional businesses
Business, yeah,
owners now,
business.
yeah, even you are running a hawker store or selling burger, or even though you are an employee of a company, I think everyone has a role to play now to basically, like, just suggest something in terms of workflow, or any kind of communication. I think everything can put together as take this time as a test bed, like a testing period, and not a lot of things need to be invested with a lot of money. Some of them are free tools that you can use online, or some of it you can just spend a little bit just for subscription base, to test out whether is it workable for the company or for the workflow. And if yes, then later on you can look into localize it with your internal team, with some tech developers that is available in your own city, right? So I mean, this is just something to add on to what you are sharing.
Yeah. So just now the questions by Inbaraj, to keep it short. So right now, we start to host small so-called sessions, right? Talk about from the community itself, SME, creative. The next thing I'm going to host is basically a session talk with these like hawkers, those like a bit traditional business kind of stuff, right? So slowly to bring them online, right? This is the first step that we are looking to do. Then the second step is doing online meetups, like online talks, like hyper localizations, right? I got to give credits to Daniel Cervantes, right? I think he did a very good so-called job task, right? Doing all these crazy Facebook Live kind of things. Like, love it so much.
Every day, every day.
Every day, couple sessions,
Yeah.
right? And
His face pops up
I love
every
it.
day.
Yeah, yeah. So this good means I a lot of topics I do not need to cover already. Right now, right? What I'm trying to do is cover the hyper localized topic. It means like the topics for Penang only. I think every cities will have their different challenges. So I have two types. The ones that in general, which I love it that Daniel's covered it. Then the second topics is the local, like very hyperalized local topics, right? Like how Penang's hawkers going to do it, how Penang SME is going to do it, because Penang SME is going to be different from other state SMEs, right? In general, Penang's have those like so-called those like hardware, electronics, semicons kind of SME, because
Yeah.
Penang is this kind of state, right? Penang
MNC
is
lah.
not MNC driven kind of stuff, SME,
Yeah.
right? Not we are not agricultures, but other state will have difference. I think like Sarawak, definitely, I think one of it is agricultures.
Yeah.
So your SME
Tourism,
will be
tourism
tourism,
and
right?
agriculture.
Tourism, agricultures. So Penang also have one is on the creative side. I think almost the same issue with you guys, right? On Sarawak. So right now, I was talking about like how does this creative fellas right get involved, or the art side. You see, creative art are different. Creative fellas in general, most of them are in digital, but artists in general they are not,
Like
right?
musicians,
Musicians, like the
painters,
painters, right?
mural artists,
Murals,
and
right? The people who make things, right?
yeah.
Artistic, aesthetics products kind of stuff, or items, right? And it's not that easy. So I think hyperlocalizations is very important. So this how we're going to do it. We're going to take one step at a time, but we are not going to be so-called relax on it. So I'm trying to push, right, to make it faster. And in general, right now, is private driven, right? Is not so-called business driven, because like I mentioned previously, if these fellas make it, indirectly will make business. This is how I look at it, right? So
Right.
I also talking to few fellas, same thing, business people, businessmen, right? Those are like a bit local business kind of things. This is what they felt. Give you an example, like real estate and property. There's a lot of rich guy into this thing, right? They want the local so-called ecosystem to grow. The local ecosystem did not grow. They cannot make money because people will not rent, people will not buy house, right? Now they are looking into it. They will say, "Hey, Curry, what can be done?" Right? We are out of ideas already, right? We are real estate. We are out of ideas. What can be done? So same thing. I told them, we need to come and see how we're going to support the smaller players, right? They start to make money. They have income. They'll continue to pay the rent. They continue to pay for your shop loss, right? They were looking into maybe considering, right, to buy a properties kind of. They may, but at least you have a chance. So we should look into this. So that's why now it's very interesting that the real estate players or properties slowly to come down to talk about, hey, let's see how we're going to build. It's not going to be easy, right? So they ask these people to do community building. It's not going to be easy, but by slowly looking into it. The important thing to me right now is that these fellas start to consider. To me, that's very simple, right? This is why I like
Uh,
it. They start to consider, and
I
to
think
me,
last
it's
year
a good point.
everyone was talking about corporate innovation, right? It was a buzz,
Yeah.
but it was, to me, it was very superficial.
Mm,
Everybody wanted to jump into corporate innovation. Nobody wanted to do something
mm,
substantial,
yeah.
and that was one of my challenge when I talk to
Mm,
people, right? Because when I'm into community building work, I look at substance. So if somebody just wants you to do a program just so that they can do some PR stuff with it, I'm not interested.
yeah.
Any kind of community building work has to benefit the community, and indirectly, if it gives some good name to the sponsor or the partner, great. But if you want to do community building, if you want to do corporate innovation, the innovation is the focus, not the corporate. Right?
Yeah.
You can't do corporate innovation and just turn it into advertisement. So
Yeah.
those kind of
And
things last year was very challenging, but I think this year now they are forced to innovate. They can't no
Mm,
longer do superficial stuff. People are not interested because now it's all about what's essential, right?
yeah.
If it's
yeah,
not essential, nobody's going to give a shit.
Mm,
If you're doing something important, people are going to look into it, right? So
but
now I
but
think corporates are really forced to innovate. Yeah.
mm,
but at the same time, it's also quite interesting to talk about corporate innovation. I mean, we had some conversation as well with Start Malaysia and a few more other parties to talk about corporate innovation. But I think every state will have a different level, or every city will have a different level of corporate innovation. I mean, like corporate innovation is a big word. So I think it's corporate innovation is a little bit more easier
mm,
to digest in Kuala Lumpur and maybe within Johor and Penang. But I think Johor and Penang is still slowly creating the awareness about corporate innovation. And for Sarawak side, corporate innovation would be a bit too big for some of the corporates down here. But because mainly down here we have a lot of SMEs and private sectors, so I think getting local entrepreneurs or business owners to be just to go on to digitalize their business, as simple as like having a website and start to do a little bit of like digital marketing concept, start to sell certain things online, start to look into their workflow with some simple, very simple tech tools like Google products or features. I think with that slowly, I think that is good enough, because otherwise, if we jump into corporate innovation now with everyone, I think, yeah, who's going to foot the bill, right? If you run a corporate innovation training, and at the same time, are they ready? And at the same time, in within the state itself, how much of talent? I mean, we have a lot of talent, but the talent pool also need time to be exposed and to be developed, like learn from the experts as well. And because I think in Kuala Lumpur you have a lot of the culture, which means that the startup culture, the mindset, the hustling, and also like to constantly come up with new things. I think in other states, everyone will be creating a lot more things, but like sometimes will be a bit chill, right? We don't take it too like you're not going to push it too hard for it. But I think I think every city or every state will go through the similar kind of
mm,
I,
experience.
I think the localization matters as well. I think like what the
Yeah.
Kari was saying
Yes.
earlier, right? Even in this,
Yeah.
because like we said, every state has different requirements, different kind of focus. The population might have different kind of needs. So
Yeah.
if in Sarawak and Sabah there are different needs, that's why you should focus on. But I think there's something for everybody, right? Everybody needs help. Everybody needs support. I think to a
I think
certain
it's
extent,
the priority as well. Like
yeah.
which one
I
comes
think
first, and
to a certain extent, we can also probably help the corporate partners, our SME partners, on what they should do. They might not have an idea. Like Kari said, they come to you like, "Hey, we are out of ideas. What can we do now?" So probably we can play a role in that as well. There's another question here from Chin Seng Choi: how to
mm,
enable or get interest from local company to join in community building? Uh, I think I'll take this first. I mean, to me, I think it comes back to the whole willingness of getting into community building and corporate innovation. Like you say, it's a big word. Community building, it's a smaller component where they can start on. But I think for a lot of businesses, it's always the cost. That's what they think, right?
Yeah.
The first thing is cost. Now, I think most of the companies are just kind of in a lockdown mode. Even the ones who are operating, they're still trying to figure out what they want to do. Most of the time, their staff have no clue what's going on. The management and the lower level staffs are not discussing, talking. So I think everybody's kind of in a jam. So it's very difficult to run any kind of programs with corporates at the moment. But I think moving forward, we probably have to come up with some creative ideas on what we can do with them. Any ideas from you guys? How can we get companies to get interested?
I've been working together with corporates for a while, and some of them are are big corporates from Malaysia and stuff. So I think at the end of the day, the gist of it as a business is what is in for them, right? Um, these the only questions we need to ask. Be it they were doing corporate innovation program, they are going through cultural transformation or digital transformation, or if you are talking about community building. I mean, if you ask me, the truth is the governments and the corporates do not care about community building. What they care is what is in for them. Is that benefit? If you can demonstrate by doing this thing, you can get to a certain results for them. Maybe for the governments, for the poll, and for the support of the thing to fulfill their KPI, or for the corporates, because if you do this, people are going to come in and populate your property, and or they're going to use your service, and you're going to get indirect response, and you build a very good image for a company. That's what exactly why they are coming into corporate, community building. But if they tell you that they are interested about doing community building, most of the time, either that they don't know what the hell that they are doing, or they are just lying.
Agree. Agree. Agree with Feng. Agree with Feng. Malcolm, what's your thought?
I think community building is it's not easy, it's not easy to you can't really teach people how to do community building, right? I think it's very it comes from a very natural individual as well, I think. Like some organization, they also try to build, like they want to do community building, but sometimes it's very hard to really like teach them, right? Because community building, it really takes a lot of our time, actually, right? To be honest with you, even though we work from 9 to 6 Monday to Friday, but basically as a community builder, I think all of you have the experience that it's actually 24/7, right? As a community builder, because different time zone, or sometimes middle of the night you'll receive a SMS, or WhatsApp, or maybe from a message, and you basically will just have conversation. Or maybe sometimes like for example, if you have a mentor, that someone's that's can only catch you on a different time zone, then when the person is online, you saw that person online, you just have to catch him or her, just to make sure that you get to able to bounce ideas, or look into some like maybe in the community someone have some challenge, and while you're scrolling through your Facebook or online, you see that person online, then you just want to grab him or her to ask some of the questions, so that you can actually pass on the message to your community, right? So I think as a community building part, it, like I said, it's really hard to teach, but it takes a lot of time to get them involved. I think getting involved is very important, because I think a lot of organizations, when you want them to get involved in community building, like what Imba said is true, they will look into cost, like money, because if I'm going to put this 2% of my employee to get involved in this, how much time are they going to spend on this? And then I'm paying them salary, right? But this is just a side gig, but they still have to focus on their main job. And a lot of time, these employees who are assigned as a community builder part, they they take it as just another work or job, like 9 to 5. That's it. After 5, I don't want to get involved anymore, right? So
Yeah.
whoever calls or texts me, I don't reply. The next day, I only reply, right? So it's very difficult because personally, for me, I'm still learning. I'm still learning from everyone, especially with Kari Feng and yourself, Inba, and everyone else in Daniel Cervantes. We are also, why are we still around? Because we still want to, we're still learning, we still want to share. So, for example, I work with some colleges or universities in Kuching. Like Startup Weekend, we can't be the organizer every single time because it's going to be very tiring, right? So we want to pass the baton to the next community, right? So I've spoken to a few colleges or universities and say, hey, look, maybe you guys can get involved in Startup Weekend, and not us organizing it, but you guys organize, and we can come in to support. Like I can facilitate, I can guide or share with you guys or mentor you guys how to organize. And end of the day, when the faculty or the faculty person, like the lecturers or whoever or administration, they are involved in this, then after 1 time, 2 times, 3 times, then they slowly have an experience of what community building is. Because you, once you organize Startup Weekend, you really look into what whole community building is all about, right? I think, because for me, I think the time that I learned a lot about community building, it's also through Startup Weekend. So you are always giving first, right? So with that, actually recently I saw a few, like 1 or 2 colleges that one of the colleges that we work with is actually slowly looking into this part, but it takes time. It takes time to do. So answering that question, to get an organization or company to be involved in community building, they have to really look into what is community building. They need to get their hands dirty first and to really think through whether is this what they want, is this the direction that they want to get involved, how much are they willing to give, because community building is all about giving. It's so hard for us to look into sustainability. That's why now
Yes.
we are all looking at how are we able to look into sustainability as a community builder, not for ourselves, but for the company that we are working for as well, right? So we spend our time, and actually a lot of time, a lot of initiative that we are doing, we're also doing those work during our work time as well. Because running a co-working space, we need to run programs, we need to plan programs, we need to look for mentors, we need to organize different initiatives. But all of this is within the working hours of our employment, right? So that's why I said, as a community builder, it really, really needs a lot of time. So back to that question, are they willing to give up that time? And having the right person to be in community building, it's also, are they willing to really put in their time as well? I mean, for myself, it's because from the day from the day one of iCube Innovation, the co-working space that I was involved with, that's where I start to learn everything. Because without a community, without events, a co-working space is basically like a empty service suites. Like people just come in, they rent. If they don't show up, they don't show up. So the whole place is going to be very quiet, right? So we need to make sure that the space is filled with people, filled with entrepreneurs, filled with freelancers, filled with digital nomad, filled with experienced, passionate and investors, so that then the whole area and environment is different. So from the very day one, I've been brought up in this concept or this way, and until today, I think this is who we are, and this is how we do. I mean, as much as we say we might not want to focus too much on community building, but somehow or other we will still be attracted to some projects that we just want to get involved, because it's always fun to be involved in some initiative that can have impact and bring value, and you see other people have a big smile on their face because of they actually experience it. So I think this is what I think that's what we as a community builder we are feed on as well.
All right.
So
Kari, how about
so
on your
great.
side? Your corporate partners, what are they telling you?
Corporate partners. Okay. In general, let me share with you. Right now, I don't have corporate partners. in general, these guys are friends. They are not corporate partners. They are friends. So they come over. They say, "Hey, no, Curry, no, no, my business are heavily impacted. Right? I have these problems. Right? We might need to move back to our own countries. Right? So people are telling me this couple of things. So I'm looking at actually how to keep them so-called stay in Penang. To be honest, my what I want to do is very simple. I want to keep them stay in Penang, right? Because they stay in Penang, business able to run. I'm here, I can make money. Very simple, right? If they are here, that means that's if they are not here, there's nothing in Penang. Then whatever I do, I also cannot make money, right? This is how I look at it, right? And right now we are playing with a lot of ideas, and I think it's good to try out. We have nothing to lose, right? If we don't try, right, we are 100% we lose it out. If we try, we got 50% of making it success. This is how I look at it. So, and I felt that every cities will have their own way of running because the situations is different. And this is where I felt the community builders come into the pictures. First things means like this is how I look at it, right? I think different people have different uh their their descriptions when it come to or meaning when it come to community builder, but this is how I look at it. If you are a community builders in KL in general, you are KL fellas, right? No, I'm not trying to cast anyone or whatever kind of things, right? If you are not from that particular cities or countries, right, you will not have that particular attachments, belonging or responsibility, right? This the first thing which I felt. Secondly, is that you have a lot of emotions and intact, like intact into that particular cities itself, right? You care. That's why you are community builders because you care, right? Like you sometimes become angry, right? You become discouraged, right? You sometimes even say things because you care what happens in your community. You become very protective because what you are doing right now is not being paid. It's not your main task or what. You do it because of what you feel. It's your feeling, right? This is how I felt it. And same thing, right? Like I say, it's a lot of people say it's like no, even my wife asked me, right? My wife's not here, so even my asked me, right? She asked, hey, I got 3 kids, guys. I got 3 kids. I think Inbaraj will feel me, like Fern, right? My wife starts asking me, hey, are you getting paid, lah? Like you do all this online, like all this Facebook, all these curations, anyone pay you, No, if okay lah, she's from corporate lah. I say no, she will whack me lah. Hey, who gonna pay, right? Your kids need to eat, right? You need to feed, right? All this kind of stuff. But it's very hard, right, to share with her, right? She's from corporate, although she's my wife, but she's from corporate. Right? I do it because I'm here, right? And this is, to be honest, this is something like I do not expect that I'm coming back. I tell people that I'm an ex-community builders, right? I'm not doing this anymore, kind of thing. But COVID-19 uh, kind of proved me wrong lah. So I'm back. I start to call people, to talk to people. Uh, some people like my herd actually. I don't really like state government. State government don't really like me in Penang. But right now we're talking because right now we have one same enemy, COVID-19. This is what I felt. Like not only me and the state, I think it's everyone. I think every one of us have one same enemy. It's COVID-19, and we are into this thing together. This is what I felt. It changed the whole scenario. So right now, I'm talking with the state. I'm talking to a few fellas. Now we're playing ideas, right? Getting involved, right? And doing things together. So we have to look at the holistic level right now, holistic pictures right now, right? And every fellas are important, right? Even right now, I'm talking to the very often, I'm talking to the people that I don't like to talk to. I think some of you guys might know me, right? I'm very direct, but right now, I even have to talk to people that I don't like to talk to because we are fighting the same enemy,
I think this is
and
the time we all have to come together.
we have to come
So
together.
I think
We
we
have to
have to
put
put
a
the
lot of things
ego
right.
aside. We have to put the differences aside.
Agree. We got to
It's
put a
all
lot of
about
things
coming together.
aside,
Yep.
come together and do this thing, right? And this is the interesting part. So right now, every day there's a lot of different discussions, and it's very overwhelming. And I'm happy that actually right now, this is what I felt that the communities are growing. The community growing means that right now in Penang itself, there's a lot more people slowing to taking parts of it, right? Start to a lot of questions, and they are doing on their own personal so-called their times and out of their works kind of thing. They're paying a lot of attention into this thing, and they are from different areas. Some people are working, some they are into corporates, business owner kind of stuff. They try. Right now, a lot of people are trying. Even like I start to like in couple of discussions, like corporate are taking their own initiative because they felt it. Very simple, right? If the people don't have money, you think people will buy their products? Will not, right? So right now they have to look into that. Hey, I mean, end of the days after it's been a month that people start to realize already. You say, if I don't help other people, if they don't have money, they will not buy my products. Period. Correct or not? So now they start to pay attention already. So that's the interesting parts, lah. Right? It might if we let it to go by its own, it might be too slow. So this is what I felt that what we can do, right? We can accelerate the whole process, right? The whole scenarios, right? And we need to have patience. And something I need to learn in general, I'll be very open and honest. I don't have patience. I get angry very easily, very frustrated easily. But this is what we need right now. We need to have a lot of patience. So I'm trying to do a lot of these
Okay,
kind of things.
we have a very
Patient.
interesting question.
Yeah.
Where is magic in all this?
No,
Potentially a controversial question, but I leave it to you
Roslan,
guys.
what
Who want to go
magic?
first?
uh,
Who want to go
I think
first? Okay,
to be fair,
okay.
to be fair for them, they have been doing their part. The it's already kind of like, if you ask, right, you see, like, at least in this thing, like people like Malcolm and myself, we were both inspired by magic when we went to start all these things, when it first started. And I the thing that I would say is that it is just about mandate. What they are, they are still trying to help, but probably their mandate had changed. No longer so much about startup or tech startup, but they had a focus a lot about more about like social enterprise and being able to help SE. I still work actively with some of our folks in Magic, and they still support our programs and things. They're definitely still in the picture, but probably it's just with the group of people that we don't normally talk to, or we don't normally interact with. That's all I had to say. Depending on who had the mandate that actually works with say for example tech entrepreneurs, where we are all normally building our community with, there is certain agencies that is a lot more active in a way.
recently I watched there's an interview or fireside chat actually about so I think what they are focusing now is a little bit more on ecosystem building.
Okay, I think on my side, I'll speak generally about government agencies, right? Not specific to Magic. I'm quite disappointed because I think they're also doing what we're doing. They're doing live stream. It's a bit disappointing. I see all these government agencies going on Facebook Live, having discussions like this. I don't think they need to do this. I think they can do a bit more. That's what I feel personally, because we at the community level, we've been always doing this. This is what we are good at. We are good at bringing communities together and trying to, solve problems. But I think from a government perspective, they can do a bit more. If they are also doing Facebook Live with celebrities and having discussions to get their Facebook likes up, I don't think it's doing anything substantial. So it's not in a way to take a shot at them, because I've been a big supporter of these government agencies, right? I mean, I don't take money from them per se, but I'm very supportive of all their programs because I think it's been very supportive of the. I mean, when I started ecosystem building, Magic didn't exist. And MDEC was totally at a different mandate, right? They only talk to people like Intel, Microsoft. They don't talk to people like us. So that's when I started. Like,
I was lucky they talked to me.
no, but 10 years ago, they didn't talk to me.
Roslan talked to me.
Yeah, but even that, it was a bit later. That's when even the time that I met Roslan, that's when everybody was trying to get into the startup ecosystem. But a few years before that, nobody was looking at startups. But now all these government agencies are in the ecosystem. They're part of the ecosystem. They've been doing a lot of programs, which is amazing. I mean, the kind of support that Malaysian entrepreneurs and startups get is, I think, is amazing. But since the COVID situation started, I feel like they've been a bit. Maybe it's because of a government instruction or whatever. They say don't do anything. Only the MKN or Ministry of Finance can say whatever. But I think even if they're not throwing money at people, I think they can do other things. I'm sure as a government agency, they have more resources. Startups are dying left and right. I don't need a Facebook Live to tell me startups are dying. I already know that. Startups that know that. Startups that are dying also know that. They can see their bank balance. Banks are probably calling them. So, I don't need this government agency to do a Facebook Live to tell me that startups are going to die in 3 months or 6 months. We can figure it out. But what can you do for us? I think that is the question that they should be answering, or at least discussing. What can they do? Or what do they want the entrepreneurs to, like what kind of support entrepreneurs need from them? Those kind of things. Probably they'll be more beneficial and has a bit more substance. That's my personal feeling on this.
To that, I think just now I saw some of the comment talking about like saying that maybe we should do like a not just a state level, but we do a national level of certain kind of a conversation or kind of dialogue sessions about how to bring how to help the local community or businesses. Like it's quite true. I think that is. I mean, I think at this point in time, all the community builders like us, and also there's a lot more community builders out there as well who are actively doing their role and their part as well. I think it is good that everyone come together and put things and build this together. But still, I think end of the day, like certain things we can't do everything because we are all end of the day we talk about sustainability as well. So we can't.
We are private.
Yeah.
We are fucking from our own pocket money. We are not paid by tax money, right? Same thing, right? That's the thing they always don't like me when saying, right? When I start questions, I say, hey guys, right, your salary are paid by my tax money, right? So I have the right to questions, but I say, doesn't work this way, kind of thing, right?
Yeah,
like Inbaraj said, they can do more, right?
Yeah, so I think on the other, there's one more thing that I'm also looking at is like not every city or state is also like if everyone is talking about startups, but eventually throughout Malaysia, we have quite a number of startups, hustling startups, but we also have, I think, majority of businesses are still considered SME and stuff like that. So I think different agencies can actually come up with different kind of not to say support in monetary wise, but support in terms of organizing or running online training, but just not to overlap each other. I think that is the most important thing. So which means I think agencies among themselves have to communicate among themselves, but not just KPI driven, but really look into what is the need of the people, what's the need of the community actually. So I think that is really a way that I think whether it's private or government or corporate can actually look into.
Yeah, I think, but you see, the last time we had a dialogue with MED, right? So we were talking about the entrepreneurship framework. That's when I learned that we actually have 60 agencies looking into entrepreneurship in Malaysia. So there are different kind of entrepreneurship, like you said. So there are agencies looking at startup, the agency looking at the mom and pop shop, the agency looking at the SMEs. There's micro, small, medium. So I think each of these agency can easily play their part because all 60 of them have funding, all 60 of them have staff, they have officers, they have resources, they have partners. I'm sure because the other thing I'm looking at is, see, many of these government agencies, they have corporate partners, right? I mean, although we have corporate partners and clients, I can't go and demand from my corporate client to, do a program. But a government agency can easily do that. They can easily bring together all their corporate partners and say, hey, let's come together and do something. But personally, I tried, right? I spoke to some of my clients, asked about whether they can set up some kind of fund to help entrepreneurs, for example. But this was before all the Prihatin and stimulus package was announced. So there was a second stimulus package, right, specific for SMEs. So before that, the government announced a very simple stimulus package. So I was trying to talk to some of my partners, but the response wasn't that great, right? They were not very interested to come and help small entrepreneurs and freelancers and all that.
Let me share with
So
my point of view when it comes to this. Okay, so I have experience onto this thing dealing with corporates. So some corporate don't want to put their name, so I know what's going on. So when a corporate start to come up with this program, let's guess what's happening next. Government's agency will knock their door. Hey guys, can you put more money or not? Right, then this guy will come back to me. Hey, say, Curry, no, we are corporates, right? So whatever we run is accordingly, right? How can right now the government start to knock our door and ask us for more money? I thought they have more money, right? Right, they are being given all this budget to run this thing. Now they knock our door and ask for more money to run their programs. Doesn't make sense. I think we all know about it, right? Which agency I also don't want to mention. So hence, right, after that, they stop doing this thing. You say, this is what they tell me, right? See, the more I do, the more governments are knocking my door to ask for more monies. Then it doesn't make sense. I don't mind to put in if I like the program, but I don't like to be forced, right, to fork out more monies to run your programs. Agree or not, guys? Same thing,
yeah.
right? If we are doing right now, right, on our so-called resources or even our own time or on own pocket monies, because we love it. But if one day one of these fellas, right, come and knock our door and say, hey, Feng or Malcolm, you guys have to do this thing. Besides that, you got to fork money also. Then say like, sorry to say, what the fuck, right? So sorry, I think this couple of them definitely they are not going to like me because they done it right. I don't
No,
want
but
to
I think
pull
there's
out
a
the name or the kind of
no, but I
style,
think
right? Or whatever kind of thing. It's obvious, right?
no, but I think it depends on the substance as well, right? I mean, if a
Yeah.
government agency comes to you and have a substantial program that's going to help a lot of people, I think it'll be easier for them to get corporate partners and all on board.
Mm.
Uh, but if you and me go talk to them, we may get some partners. We have done it before, but it'll be a bit harder because we are, individuals trying to work on our own. So I just feel
Yeah.
like the government always have the a stronger, pulling power to make things happen.
Yes.
But Roslan also talks about how probably these government agencies can work with community builders and probably give us a job and income.
Yes.
It was
So
before.
But I think,
Roslan, Roslan,
I think,
I don't know how things were when you were in a government agency and all that. Maybe things were a bit different. I think now things are very different. But I think a lot of the government agencies have also started doing things on their own. I think they've become a bit more independent. They don't depend on community developers, community builders too much. A lot of these government agencies have hired their own in-house community, builders. They do their own programs. And when they do large-scale programs, they always partner up with a lot of big companies as well.
Yeah.
So I think it's not that they don't know. I think it's a matter of choice whether they want to do or not. But
Yeah.
to me, somebody like me, I mean, I don't need a government agency to come give me money. I can figure it out on my own. But if they can, do other kind of support, I think there's so much more support besides just money. I
Yes.
think,
Agree.
and I think the government agencies have the power to make things happen. You don't have to go throw at all our problems, throw money at all our problems. But that comes with creativity, solving problems, or maybe just the dialogue, getting us people like us to sit together and come and brainstorm some ideas. Uh, may work, but that's for the if any of anybody watching from any government agency, uh, maybe you guys can uh, have some brainstorming sessions with the public, with the entrepreneurs, community builders, so then we can come up with a solution together. I don't know, it might work. Yeah. So what do you guys think?
I stopped doing that for 2 years already. Sorry to say, I did it many rounds. To be honest, all the big government agencies name that is actively involved in startups, round tables, whatever. I did so many rounds, but you see, hardly there is any serious. I mean, things that comes out. I mean, take that MED roundtable that we been to, right? It was something that they have already figured out everything, and we asked all of you guys to come in and sit down, not just because we want to discuss and listen to your opinion, but it's essentially we like, okay, we have this thing, and we want to bring you together, and we hope that you say yes and support this thing, right? So and we have already, I mean, it's always like that. So now my stance is very simple. That's why nowadays some of them may not like me as much, because I'm like, okay, if you want me to do this, yes, but this is a fee. If you don't want to pay this, then you get someone else to do it. That's all.
All troublemakers are you.
No,
That's a story, guys, right?
right, because exactly like you said, it's the substance. Because I mean, the first time, the second time, the third time, we know that okay, this is for the greater good. But after a while, if there isn't a very clear substance that comes out from that, then there is really no point.
Agree.
No, I think to me personally, I've always been doing things on my own. So I don't go and throw all my programs at government agencies for support or ask for sponsorship and all that. Most of the time, it's either my own money or I get my corporate sponsors or my clients to support. But when the government agencies come and they want to support, I'm very happy. So I don't really expect too much from them. I think that's always been my mood, right? I don't expect too much from the government, but if they do something beneficial to the community, I'm very happy. It's like a bonus, similar to the whatever assistance they're doing now. I think the salary subsidy program is amazing. Some people are saying it's not enough. The money is not enough to pay. I'm like, hey, better than nothing, right? I don't expect. I expected zero from
No,
the
I
government.
think it's
But
still important that we get their
yes,
support, right? It's very
yeah,
important. Every
yeah.
cent
So
counts.
yeah, so for me, I don't expect anything. I expected zero, but now hey, they're giving a salary subsidy so that we can sustain our teams and we can probably bounce back later. To me, that's a bonus. I'm not going to demand more, but I think we ourselves probably have to come together a bit more closer and try to come up with more solutions. I mean, that's always what I feel. What I felt since the start of the MCO. I think as entrepreneurs, I think we have more to give. Government support will be highly appreciated, of
Yes.
course. But if they're not willing to support or they have their own ideas and they don't want to include us, we can't demand much.
Yes,
We continue, we soldier on with what we feel is right. Because I feel like sometimes there's a disconnect. We are part of the ecosystem. We know what's going on. We know entrepreneurs left and right. We know the pain and suffering that other entrepreneurs go through a bit, I think, closer than people who are sitting a bit higher. They can make policies, they can have funding, they can do other things, but sometimes they don't connect to the actual problems. I think that's where the disconnect is. So if everybody can come together, work closely, it's brilliant. But otherwise, then we just kind of have to soldier on with whatever resources we have, right? We pull together whatever resources we have and try to make things happen. So if people like if more souls like Roslan are still in places of power and you have some powers to decide things, do come out and support the startup ecosystem. We are willing to help. We're willing to work together. I mean, I don't need to be paid all the time. Sometimes I like to get paid for my work. Most of the times I do for free. uh, and personally, I don't like to make money from startups, right? That's what I've always been doing. Whenever I do startup programs, I never make money from the startups. To me, if you're a sponsor, you pay for it. If you're a corporate, you pay for it. Fine. I don't have problems taking money from the corporates, but I don't want to take money from the startups. So that's why I don't charge for my programs as much as I can. If I charge also, it's so that I can give you good food. Because if you do a program, the food must be good, right? So if I'm charging you a ticket, if I'm charging you 50 ringgit, 100 ringgit, it's so that I can give you good food and a nice t-shirt that you can keep. That's it. I don't need money in my pocket. So I think we are still like that. I believe you guys are also like that. I'm very sure, because if not, you won't be doing this, till now.
So I think I
So
think I think in the I think whatever we have just shared and everything, it's a very general purview. So in terms of a nation, but now let's say so for our side, it's a little bit slightly different. The state, the state is very supportive in a lot of areas as well. That's why the state government come up with their own, like literally using our own state fund to really power through a lot of initiative that is within Sarawak and to come up with all the micro hubs. So at the moment, there's 4 hubs, but eventually they are coming up with 12 hubs in total throughout the whole state of Sarawak, in city, town, and some rural areas. So and there's also having this digital village that's coming up as well. So the state is really involved and really like giving more opportunity and really like spearheading and want to make it happen for the local community of Sarawak as well. So and also Sarawak Multimedia Authority (SMA) is also involved. They're championing the digital village project as well. So all these micro hubs are under the purview of SMA as well. So I think whether it's a state level or national level, I think end of the day, it's still really looking into what are the problems that is really there, that how can we all basically put into a solution. That's it. right?
I
Like
think
like we all said, the common enemy we have now is the pandemic, right?
Yeah.
So I think everyone needs to have a living, salary coming in every month, right? Some job or work to do as well. So I think this is what is very much more important. So whether any other agencies out there, if they are only KPI driven, I mean, end of the day, it's sad to know that if they are really looking at KPI only. But I think now it's really something that everyone is coming together to make a difference, because after the 12th of May, it's a new norm. So I think that's where we need to be ready for that, because I think I had a conversation with a few one of the college universities people as well, the program directors. Like they're even looking at how can they change, like asking for some input about like how so what's the next future job for the students, the graduates, you know. So graduates are also now fighting jobs with those who just got laid off from companies, right? So I think there's a lot of things that, like, basically all these things should be, we should have another 5 to 8 years of kind of runway that we can slowly develop and build towards this level. But just within a short period of 1 or 2 months, we need to basically accelerate to the next 5 or 8 years solution, which is now. So I think in education institution, and especially for the next generation or the workforce generation, it's really something that what can everyone contribute now. So I think
Right.
that's something that the government, no matter what kind of agencies out there, uh, they just have to look into that area as well, because there's a lot of things are affected. So not to just focus and point on entrepreneurs or startups, but I think like what Kari or someone mentioned just now, I think it's very is throughout the whole what is within Malaysia we have, like in terms of private sectors, SMEs, corporate, government, education, health, community, even in your own neighborhood, your own community, right? I think all of this is something that all of us need to look into as well. So I think there's a lot of amazing ideas and people out there that is really giving their value to other people. Like some of them, like they are not able to have a income or to feed family. So some of them, you know, you can reach out to us that we if you need food or anything, just let us know. We are more than willing to share, you know. So I think this is already showing that the other side of it. So I think agencies, instead of giving money, agencies can also look into what kind of program can allowing some amazing people, if they got certain skills, for example making PPE, for example, you know, certain skills, just hire them to make some sewing or whatever, then they can earn some extra money, right?
Yeah.
I mean, these are also this is also
Or
another
help them to
area.
reach out, or help them to reach out, right?
Exactly.
Or help them to connect, kind of things.
Yeah. So I think in the state we have some community, really is private, is individual initiative that's driving this. Like a lot of people are doing PPE as well, right?
Yeah.
So I
I think
mean,
so
in
far
terms
the
of
individual initiatives have been more effective, I think.
Yes, right. This is what we see
exactly,
in KLs, and I think also we
yes,
happen in Penang also, right?
Yeah, I mean,
All are
earlier we
private
had a
initiative.
discussion with the 3D printing guys as well.
Yeah.
yeah.
You know,
So
one
so
of
I
the earlier
mean,
episodes. Yeah.
so I mean, all this, the agency is not necessary to look into SMEs, or because every agencies have different role to play, right? So I
Yeah.
think there's also some agencies, if they are into SMEs, or you know, then SME can look into, okay, what are the things that are lacking at the same time. So then you can refer to some of the community, some people who don't have a job now, but they can actually work on something. So you can pay them on a percentage level, so not in a full scale of salary. So at least some people, they have some skills, but they're not able to. The company not able to pay for full salary or anything. But at least during this period of time, the company still needs to run, right? So I think there's a certain small little gaps that can be connected. I mean, this is just my personal opinion. I think there's a lot more that just looking into fundings. I think now in a lot of WhatsApp group chat that I'm involved in, everyone is just looking at fundings, like what kind of fundings will the company, the government give, what kind of fundings agencies are giving, and blah, blah, blah. But I think even as a business owners also need to look into areas of like, okay, what are the things that, what is the real problem that we need to solve? Because money, of course, money can solve everything, but money can't solve everything too, right?
Yeah, I think
So
unemployment is going to be a big issue. Every
it's
day,
already
people are
it's
It's already
already
yeah,
happening.
people
happening.
are
It's already
people
It's
are
happening.
already
losing
happening.
jobs left and right. Yeah, so
Exactly.
in the next 3 months, it'll be just worse. So
Yeah.
I think,
So
and I feel as community builders, we can also do something in that part because people are
yeah,
already asking me, right? Hey, what can we
Mhm.
do? People are losing jobs, and people who are
yeah,
losing jobs are talking to me and like, hey, I just lost my job today.
Yeah.
Is there anything I can do? And I don't have answers for them yet, but I feel
yeah,
like I think it should be part of our agenda as well while we're
yeah.
thinking about the next programs and
Mhm.
next
Yes.
initiatives that we want to launch. I think this
Yeah.
should be also a big because startups, whether SMEs and all that, doesn't matter, right? I mean, some of the SMEs we have now are startups 5 years ago, and now
Yeah.
they're SMEs now, and the more people who lose jobs, the less customers we will have or startups will have as well. People don't have
Yes.
money in
Agree.
their pockets. Nobody's going to
Yeah.
use apps. Nobody's going to buy anything online. Because
Yeah.
I've been telling to people as well. I mean, everybody is now jumping into e-commerce, right? I said that's not the solution, because now it's a temporary peak. Everybody's buying things online because they're
Yeah.
bored at home. But in
Yes.
2 months, everybody is going to run out of money, and people are going to be
Yeah.
jobless.
Yeah.
Nobody's going to
Yeah.
be buying anything online.
Mm.
So I think the other issues should be tackled as well. So
Yeah.
okay, let's talk about something a bit more positive. What are you guys looking forward to? What's your next big project or event or initiative?
I
One by
like to
one,
start
let's
first.
go.
This is the part
Okay,
I like
go
to
ahead.
start first. Okay, I like something to share with you guys. Okay, so this is idea I've been having in mind for a while, and I've been talking to a few people. Say all these whiles, Malaysia's we have this brain drain issue, right? A good talents always move out, and I felt that this COVID-19 MCO gonna change the whole thing. Why? First things like now with the concept of work from home, it doesn't really matter where you work, right? You do not need to be at that specific cities. First thing. Secondly, is like you want to be in the cities that are so-called green zone, so-called or more safety. And we are lucky that Malaysians are very safe if you compare to other places, right? Thirdly, Malaysians are very affordable compared to Singapore. Those people are hearing from Singapore, Hong Kong, kind of things, right? And I mentioned about like safe place. Anyone guys want to be in Spain or state? No, right? So this is what I felt, right? And I think couple of guys know about this digital hub and entrepreneurs visa. And I felt that I think we need to have a very good engagements or like heavy discussions with MDEX and Facebook. I think you guys know also about it, right? Together with Facebook, right? Is to really kickstart this program, right? To bring talents to Malaysia. We are affordable, nice place, we are safe place, and we need to build the communities. Again, like I say, when these people come, the community is needed. And I've been talking to I've been talking fellas from Singapore and also fellas from Hong Kong. Okay, I'm tackling Hong Kong right now because Hong Kong is not fun anymore. Hong Kong is very expensive, right? And the community are dislocated. And it makes sense to be come to Malaysia. But because right now, like an example, like people say, oh, like give an example. Let's talk about Penang. Penang, the public transport is not efficient. But right now, with MCO, you don't really care, right, about public transport anymore, right? That's the thing, right? You care that the place that you stay or the area or the city that you stay, as long as it connect you to the internet, right? Like the place is affordable, right? I mean, Malaysia still we still have good food, right? I'm still seeing people having nice food compared to some
Yeah.
cities. I don't want to mention there are big challenges on food kind of thing, right? And
So
you
you're
are
focused
looking
on
out
bringing the foreign talent or Malaysian talent who are outside? What's your focus?
both, both.
Bringing
I'm
talent
looking at
into
both right
Malaysia.
now.
But
Yes,
mainly will be bringing talent into Malaysia.
bring talents away. And can you put it this way? When these people come in, right, especially those are from overseas, other side, they have ideas, right? They have influence. They might even have like fun kind of things. When they come in, they will help to drive each of the cities kind of stuff, right? And when we bring the community together in, it help our communities to learn also. So this is a thing. One of the things I'm slowly starting. I'm talking to a lot of people right now about these ideas. I'll open up the whole thing, right? Hopefully, like hopefully, right? I'm trying. I also have a few things to tackle, right? that within a month, I would like to come out open source for this thing. I felt that there's no so-called secret sauce, all that kind of stuff, right? This thing we open up, share with everyone kind of thing, right? And I'm also sharing with Taiwan right now, with Taiwan fellas kind of thing, right? And I think this is good, right? The more we share them, we're able to cross-reference.
Especially with recently after the startup weekend, the Malaysia version, the mentors start the ASEC, the APEC,
Like you guys should join.
APEC startup ecosystem community, and within 10 days they got 200 over people, man.
Yeah. So this
Yeah, I
is
mean
one of the
about
conversation.
yeah, I mean like about almost a year plus ago, I did a market access program for Korean startups. So out of 5 that we brought, one already open office in KL. Because the moment they came here, they had no idea about Malaysia, right? The South Korea, everything they have, infrastructure is amazing. So for them, is Asia is a backwards country, Southeast Asia. But when they came to KL, they're like, wow, this is amazing. We didn't know KL is like that. And the community, how vibrant we are, the startup ecosystem here, they wanted to be here, right? So actually 3 of them would have been moved here, but 2 already have office in Singapore and Jakarta. So they felt like, okay, no need another office so close. But one already open office here. So I think bringing foreign talents, I don't think it's that difficult. I think we have something amazing going on here. I think the moment they come here, they just meet people here. They'll be like, yes, this is where I want to be. So that'll be very interesting.
I think another updates. I think some guys also know. I think that one of the things that I think, like I say, is right. If credit got a given, right, it's credit due, right? Index are driving these things called right. Malaysia as a gateway for Southeast Asia. I think they are pushing for it, right? I like the ideas, right? Same thing. I think every time I go to other countries, right, I say why Malaysia? Because we are multicultural, right?
Yeah.
Malaysia is a gateway to Southeast Asia, right? We are not the smallest compared to Singapore, but we are not the biggest. Means like this is a nice place, right? This is your sandbox. You can come in, you can try it out. I find that this is very interesting, and especially this moment right now, right? For you guys, actually, like a lot of startups, they need to be very careful at how they spend their money, right? Funding is not anymore so much compared to previously, and they got to be very careful. Means that if they want to test out or they want to expand, they need to be very, very careful. And this is where I felt that Malaysia, right, we have the strength. Let's say, give an example. Like I think, like Inbaraj say, like if Korean people want to come in, this is the best place. Why? Come to Malaysia, you got Malays, which will help you to expand to Indonesia, right? In general, we speak English, which okay, we can go to Philippines, all that kind of stuff. We have a lot of Chinese, which we can bring you to Taiwan, Hong Kong, or China, right? Huge, right? We have Indian, which can bring you to India, the next big after China, right? So basically, in one place, you have literally everyone.
Yeah, I
And
mean that's how we
so
promoted the program. It's
yes,
we have multiple sandbox, different demographics. So you come to this one country, you get to test different kind of demographics, and also it's way cheaper. We're like Singapore but cheaper,
yes.
I think it's a very attractive prospect for them.
So just for my side, so
yeah.
Feng, welcome. So what you guys have in
Feng,
plan?
on your side,
Yeah, for
anything big
me, it's
coming up soon?
really working on this our venture building program. We did not formally announce it to everybody. I think I'm more like a businessman now instead of like a community builder, because I'm really kind of like in a survival mode. So we need to figure out everything. But I think one thing that we realized is working for us, that being a community builder for a while, it's been in our mind that we've been doing all these things, and one day if someone within our community become very successful, is it got nothing to do with us, right? We probably may have run one event that guy participated in, and that's just all. And I think long term wise, we want to be in this whole thing for a long run. We want to be part of it, right? So there's 2 ways to be part of it, right? You invest in them, or you join them, right? So there's 2 ways, right? So our venture building program was kind of like, you know, the reason why we started doing this thing. We went to very selective startups that we know in the retail, F&B, and also e-commerce space. There's only 3 verticals that we know. We know how to grow fast and help people do it. So focusing on that, and we're going to continue to double down. One of our startups actually raised funds during MCO, in fact. Close to 7 figures. So I think there's a lot of potential, and this is something that we will continue to work on. So, I mean, if there is anyone you are in the retail, e-commerce, or F&B space and planning to grow fast, and I think we probably have something to offer.
Cool.
Okay, and Malcolm, on your side, anything big coming up?
So far, like I shared earlier on, we are really looking into. For now, we are still supporting and providing some of the content to like we are managing one of the innovation hub, or basically Sariki Innovation Center. So what we do is that we still bring in programs and everything. So we still do online. We're going to kick off online program like tomorrow. So anything big for now, I think we are still we are actually in a process of like internal our own internal meetings and internal discussion and brainstorming in terms of like what can we do for the next few months, because like I shared earlier on that a lot of things are still very not so stable. So we can't really plan something that, of course, we have to plan, but we can't plan something that this is going to be like that, this is going to be like that, because end of the day, there are still going to be changes. As much as now we are looking at the MCO to be uplifted after the 12th of May. So slowly, like everyone shared, like I think the next few months, everything should be still online. So currently is to just build more online program and content that we can share to the public, and also to take this opportunity to really look into like what area we can support. Because in Sarawak itself, there are, like, tourism and agriculture is the most the biggest industry, and we have timber, oil and gas, and other industry as well. But majority in the city itself, or in any other town in Sarawak, there are still a lot of small medium enterprises, like small medium business owners that run business with like trading or retail. So I think that is also an area that we may need to look at. And also there's freelancers, a whole bunch of freelancers community as well. You talk about e-commerce, another different community as well. And then you have the corporate side, you have the government side, and you also have the education side as well. So there's a lot of areas that we can pick and choose. But I think for now we need to have a better idea of the overall first, and then we see which area we want to tackle for the next few months or for the next 1 year as well. Because like Johor and Penang is quite obvious, because like Penang is mostly MNC, so it has been there for many years. So at least there's a certain direction, and the people, community are also quite familiar with that as well. And for Johor side, the manufacturing industry, and a lot of people, the community are also very familiar with the whole infrastructure as well. So in KL, it's mostly the startups and other business. So I think Sarawak is still really a huge playground for us to look into. That's why I think now we have that kind of support that like the state government is coming in to support. And so at least we are not necessary to focus on certain things, but we are all basically, so we complement each other. So I think this is also a time that we are looking at that as well. So we are working very closely with the state government, like Sarawak Multimedia Authority, to really like close that gap, and we complement each other. So that's where what we are doing now as well with them as well. Yeah. So I think for the next few months, 1 or 2 months, is really a brainstorming time for us to really tackle that which area we want to focus. Because even though online, I think even during the Malaysia version of Startup Weekend, the online Startup Weekend, not everywhere you have good internet connection as well. So I think that would be also another challenge if we want to run any programs online. Depending on the speed, depending on the and for the audience to come on to attend the program, it's also another challenge as well. So I think that is something that I think whether online or offline, we always need to look into different kind of solutions as well.
Right. Okay. So on my side, I actually wanted to do a startup summit this year. Last 2 years, we did the Cyberjaya Startup Summit, which was very successful at the very grassroots level to support early stage entrepreneurs and startups. So this year, I actually wanted to do the KL Startup Summit. I wanted to make it bigger, but now it's, I guess, on hold
Malaysia.
for a
Yeah.
while. So naturally, I wanted to
Online.
do, yeah. I mean, that's what I thought first. Naturally, I wanted to do an online thing, right? But during the MCO, I noticed there's so much of content. Like you said, every day you see Daniel's face and everybody's doing live stream. So there's already a lot of content out there. So I feel like maybe now it's a bit too early. There's too much of content anyway. So let people learn first. Maybe a bit later, I might work on something. Maybe a few months down the road, there will be an online conference. But that aside, this other thing I've been doing is, I don't know, some of you may have noticed, I've been doing the grocery aid project,
Yeah.
which is basically raising funds to send groceries to people who have lost their income. Because
Yeah.
I felt
Support.
like, yeah, I mean, there are people who are homeless and poor before this, but there are NGOs and government agencies already working with them. They are the known ones, right? But the ones who just recently lost their jobs and income, those people are not in the radar of any of these agencies or NGOs. So that's what we decided to do the grocery aid project. And up to today, we I think raised about 24,000 already.
Oh.
And we have already so we already sent out almost 180 packs, I think, packs of. So each pack is about 100 ringgit. We send it out directly, delivered to the families. So that's what I've been a bit busy with. But other than that, I've also been thinking, like I think Malcolm said earlier, right? It's time for the community maybe to give back to the community builders and all that. So I've actually been also thinking about crowdfunding to support entrepreneurs. Yes, there's a government grant and all that, but I think there's also a lot of freelancers out there. Community builders are, essentially event organizers. Most of the, income comes from running events, which now we can't do, right? So for those who are like someone like me, maybe I don't need it, but for other people who are 100% depending on running startup programs and events, they might be totally broke right now. But I don't know whether this will work. I don't know whether anybody will contribute money to a fund like this, where we can crowdfund a large amount and then, distribute it to those who really need it. But I'm actually after today now, I'm thinking like maybe I should do that.
Yes.
Maybe I should
I think
initiate a crowdfunding campaign.
there's a lot of things we can do, like not just us, but we can get a few or other community builders to come together, and as long as there's some projects that need to be organized, and that's where the whole thing. And end of the day is something that we're just doing what we do, and instead of offline, it's just online. That's it. But we
Yeah.
just need to see the a lot of business owners or a lot of entrepreneurs out there don't see the value of like why should I sponsor this event and it's online, right? But eventually supporting sponsoring on specific events, and even though it's not an offline event but it's an online event, the market reach, the brand reach will still reach to a wider audience as well, right? So it's just a matter of the confidence that the entrepreneurs or companies are willing to basically provide that kind of support. But again, every company are going through economy kind of restructuring and the whole and a lot of things. So that's why I think the next few months. So I think if anyone out there or even like who wants to run some programs, they can actually Inbar is the right person now that actually champion this live stream. So I think all of us as when Inbar just give a call, I think all of us will jump on board to see how we can support and how
Fung
we are.
wanted to do this stream yesterday.
I
He's so
actually thought it
semangat,
was
he messaged me.
yesterday because the first time when you reached out to me, it was like Wednesday, and I was like, okay, registered in my mind because I had another conversation with like Bobby day before, and then I was like, okay. Then I was like 9:50 last night. I sent a Inbar. I said, hey, Inbar, what's the link for the stream later? It was like, hey,
I panicked for a while. I'm like, what? It's good. That's the passion.
When you're stuck at home for too long, you see, that's things
Exactly. Yeah. So anyway, I think like like whoever's listening out there, if you think that you have an idea that you want to bring out, organize certain kind of events or online events that you think that you have just an idea, you want to do something or project, I think you can write an email to Inbar, and then Inbar can filter through, and then maybe when he give a call to any one of us, I think we will definitely be there if we can, if we have time, we'll be there to support. And basically, it's going to be a chargeable event. So, end of the day, we just have to test the market, right? That how much people are willing to pay. But of course, a lot of people are not willing to pay yet because they still need to be. They need to have a bit more confidence in what kind of value would they get back, the ROI, right? So I think. With that, I think Feng has a bit of experience where she just recently did the conference. But end of the day, I think running programs online or projects online, I think it's going to be something new for all of us actually.
So the thing is this, right? If you ask me, right, I would say that maybe in the future, I even say post MCO and chance to run a physical event and all these things, I'll probably consider 10 times more why I would want to run a physical event as compared to an online event. I just give you a very simple illustration. I run base conference in January. I spent 800,000 just on the cost itself to produce the conference. But when I did the virtual conference, I had literally same amount of people, slightly more in fact. And I pulled off within 12 days with I think less than 10%. No. I only spent like about what 8K. Imagine 800K and 8K.
Wow.
Fuck man, I would just rather run hell a lot of online events.
Online, right? Yeah.
I mean, not including the salary and all these things, but the 800K is only production cost. It doesn't include the salary as well, right?
Yeah.
So, and it took us 6 months.
Yeah.
If you look at it, I was like, what the fuck, man? I would just continue to produce.
So I think now would be the best time for us to run online event. I mean, it's just a test because we are still testing out how can we provide the experience, because offline event the experience is amazing. Because
definitely it's different, right?
Yeah, it's different.
There is gift and takes, but if you ask me, right, I think you really need to be able to look into what kind of event that you can package for the participants. But then more importantly, what I've been learning a lot over this experiment is what's next after that virtual conference that you are doing. You're gonna acquire a big database, and what are you gonna do with the database? So I think offline conference and all these things you can do that catch up. But the good thing about online is that you can literally go and watch everything instead of going around. But you see, a lot of time, some of these conferences that we go to, we don't even pay for it anymore, and they knew it. It's not because they can't charge. For some of the companies, not because they can't charge. It's because a lot of us also go there for the network. It's not really for the content anymore, because you saw all these speakers, they go to different places, they talk about the same thing, right? So it's a recycled content. We go to conferences. After a while, after 2-3 years in the whole thing, you probably just go to conference to meet friends. But what I'm trying to say is that if you can do that networking now just online, then you can really focus on curating the really, really good content that wasn't really recycled. And if you are good at doing that, you can charge, and people will be able to pay for it, right?
Agree.
That's how I think about it.
Cool.
I think now we connect with a lot more people. We actually connect with more people now, actually.
Yeah,
right.
But I think, like earlier we discussed, I think the profit, the ROI is very important as well for sponsors, right?
Right.
I think they'll always look at that. I figured out how to input a full video into StreamYard. So if any corporate want to do live stream, come to me. I can run your video ads within the stream.
Exactly. You know,
Yeah,
the
yeah.
thing that we did for our sponsors and all these things, you know, for a normal conference, that there's a lot of very offline things that you got to do. But now when you're moving online, right, you can provide a lot more insights and, you know, very, very detailed targeting stuff that you can do it for them. If you know how to do it, I would say actually, the money's still there. The corporates are still willing to pay. I mean, at the end of the day, even though they are shifting a lot of funds to the CSR, but there is still a PR need.
Yes.
Yeah.
Agree.
All right. Sorry, guys. My camera's.
I realized you're
Camera.
not using the webcam, but you're using probably a camera.
Yeah, but it's a bit wonky today. Usually it's not.
I think because it's already over the time.
Yeah. We're running for 2 hours, man.
Yeah. No, because I'm actually using my iPhone as a webcam. But so far I haven't had that issue. My previous stream, I've never had the issue of disconnection, but today I think I've been disconnected like 4 or 5 times.
Oh.
I think
I noticed all of us have very clear webcam today. This is the first time I think I'm having a stream where everybody have very crystal clear,
Right.
high-res cameras.
Actually, I'm also learning so much throughout this MCO. Like everything goes online, and for us, we are learning so many things. You can ask Feng. I've been bugging him a few rounds. Hey, how to do this, how to do that, and then from there I figure out certain ways, and then I still have to check with him. And I think we're all learning at the same time. So community builders are also constantly learning, and we need to always able to adapt to whatever the changes are in the future as well. So I think thank you very much, Inba, for inviting us to this late show.
Late night show.
Late show. I mean, I started talking cock on live, and then I thought, you know what, might as well make it a bit useful, have a proper topic. But anyway, guys, we've been at this for 2 hours now, so I think we can kind of wrap up. So before we wrap up, what will be one advice you guys want to give to other community builders out there who are like us, who are also, you know, doing things for the community and trying to get things up and running and moving? If there's one advice, let's go. Kari, you first.
Okay. My advice is right. You got to be sincere and you got to be ethical. This is what I felt. Right. You want to do things, you'll be sincere about it and you'll be ethical about it. Right. Then the rest, you automatically will flow in. This is what I felt. I believe in karma.
Malcolm?
For me, it's along the journey of being a community builder. So I think it's to just, you need to give it a try, try it, and it's okay to fail. Just try, and also be consistent and persistent. If you want to be part of the community building or be in the community, it's all about consistency as well. So it's okay to fail, but just give it a try. That's for me.
I'm going to be a little bit controversial, you know, as usual. But I mean, if you have not started community building, don't try to be a community builder. Do not come in. It's a whole trap that you're gonna get.
It's a bigger trap than be a founders, right? It's a bigger trap than be a founders.
So, you're not gonna get rich, but
Definitely.
if you are already
Anybody coming in to make money?
if you are already doing, I think it's that big question. Take out that community, then who are you and what you can offer. If you have that one skill, then that people will be willing to pay for you. That's great, because I mean, there was a time that, you know, community builders are really being, you know, someone that people look up to or people that want to come in, and there is definitely a point of time where people are paying thousands and 10,000s to community builders to or more, you know, to community builders to help them build communities. But I think in this new norm, it is not likely going to be happen, at least for the next 1-2 years. So you got to be able to figure out and be resourceful for yourself.
I think just now what I mentioned about you need to try is actually to get involved in events and conference and events or any community events. Not so much of you being a community builder, but just come and attend events and provide support. And then and if you want to organize something, you can also try to organize something, but work with some of the local community that is already there. I think people will definitely going to help. Yeah.
Right. Okay. So on my side, I think I'm gonna echo what you guys said. I think it's perfect. Genuine, very important. If you're not genuine and you're not sincere about what you're doing, you can't be a community builder anyway. You can't do it for the wrong reason, right? You can't come into this to make money. I know people are starting communities, Facebook communities, and all that. They want to bring people together so that they can monetize. I think that doesn't work. I think you have to build a community for the right purpose. And if later, there's a way you can monetize or you want to do something that requires payment, then you can always go ahead and do that. But I think you cannot run away from the original, focus why you started the community. There must be a higher purpose than just making money. I think, which is what I think most community builders are doing, from what I've met, all the community builders I've met over the years. But maybe times are tough now, so some people might get a bit distracted, thinking about self-preservation, which is I think fine. But at the same time, I think we still have to kind of be genuine and be focused on what we're doing. So yeah, I think it's very true. Don't come in to make money, but if you want to help, come on board, join us. I'm sure we can do a lot of things together and help people around us as well. So thank you so much, guys. Thank you for joining us for today's discussion. It was a great chat.
Thanks for hosting.
Thank you very
And
much.
I'll be recording this and uploading this onto my YouTube channel as well, so that it's easier to share. Because now it's in a Facebook group. It's not public, so on Facebook it's easier to share the link, so more people can watch our recorded session. So thank you so much again for all your input,
Yeah.
and
Thank
good
you,
luck with
Inba.
all your upcoming programs, guys.
All right.
Thank
All right,
you.
take care.
Thank you very much.
Bye. Have a good night.
All right. Good night.
Bye.
Right, guys, thank you so much for being with us for the past 2 hours and 10 minutes. It's been a long chat, but I believe it's been very interesting. Even my camera gave way, so I have to switch back to my MacBook Pro's webcam, which is not very clear, but it does the job. Thank you so much for joining the chat and all the comments and discussion, especially Roslan. So many comments and questions from you. Uh, Amazing stuff. And I believe we answered most of your questions. And for the rest of you guys who are watching, I hope you enjoyed the session and you learned something from all these amazing guys that were sharing their thoughts. If you have any more questions, feel free to just put it on this thread, or you can always, message directly. You can message us. You can find Malcolm. You can find Feng. You can find Curry. We're all on Facebook all the time. So talk to us. If you have any ideas, any discussions, you want to bounce ideas, you want to do something, you need help, need support, we're always here. Thank you so much for joining again. And until I see you in another live session, bye bye.